Okay, so good morning. So yesterday we had started with morphological parsing, right? So in morphological parsing, what we said is we read the English text and you convert, say, each of the words into its component morphemes, and along with that, you also output the morphological properties of those morphemes. That is what morphological parsing is. Now, in order to do morphological parsing, to the parser, we have to give the properties of the English language. We're doing parsing of English language. So properties have to be given. Uh, and the properties which have to be given is what are the valid words, say that can be represented using the lexicon, the morphotactics of the language, and the orthographic rules. These three things have to be given along with the English text in order for parsing to be done. And we said to represent lexicon, instead of listing out all the words, it is better to represent it using a finite state automaton. Right, and we saw one or two examples also of finite state automaton, which is used for recognizing a few of the words, valid words in the English language. Now, finite state automaton is actually a recognizer. So, given an input word, it will recognize whether that input word is valid or not in the English language. But what we said is we want something more than a recognizer for a morphological parser. For a morphological parser, we need a recognizer for the language as well as we need to output something. That is, we need to output the stem, and along with that, stem and other affixes. Along with that, we want all the morphological properties of that also. Okay, so that is why we are going to look at what is known as a finite state transducer. So finite state transducer is something similar to a finite state automaton, except that it, apart from recognizing the language, it also generates some output. Okay, so that is what a finite state transducer is. So here FSA can represent morphostatic structure of a lexicon. Okay, FSA can represent both the lexicon as well as its morphostatic structure, and it can be used for word recognition. But finite state transducers do more than that, and it is used for morphological parsing. Okay, so FST is a type of finite state automaton that maps from one symbol set to another. So it maps from the input symbol to some output symbol. Okay, so FST can be thought of as a two-tape automaton that recognizes or generates pairs of strings. So generally we talk of a tape, right? We have an input tape which contains our input, and the FST reads one character at a time from the input and produces something onto the output tape. Okay, so you can think of it that way. Okay, this is an example given. So you can see this diagram looks like finite state automatic itself, right? But the difference, if you look at it, is what is being labeled on the transitions. Generally, what we say is you make transitions on some input string, but here you have a colon and there is something given here. That is, for AA as input, what is the output going to be generated? That is also given as part of the transition. So that is a difference in the case of a finite state transducer compared to finite state automaton. Everything else is similar. You have states, you have transitions, everything. You have got start state, you have got acceptance states and so on. But the difference is in the transition, it reads one input state B, and what is written after colon is the output. What is written on, we said there are two tapes, right? So B is read from the input tape here, and A is output onto the output tape. Okay, so that is a difference. Okay, so this is a formal definition of a finite state transducer. We already know, or you already must have studied about finite state automaton, the formal definition, and Q is a set of states, set of valid states. Sigma stands for a finite set corresponding to the input alphabet. Both of them are there in the finite state automaton also. Delta is a finite set corresponding to the output alphabet. Output alphabet was not present in the case of finite state automaton. Q naught is a start state. F is the set of final states. Here you've got transitions. So transition function or transition matrix between states. So given a state Q and an input string W, which belongs to sigma star. So delta represents or delta returns a set of new states Q dash which belong to Q, and delta is a function from Q cross sigma star to Q raised to Q. Here Q raised to Q is set of all possible states in Q. So which means it is non-deterministic. That is, you can map from one state to any number of states on the same input. Okay, so finite state transducer is also similar. It can be non-deterministic. Okay, so delta returns a set of states rather than a single state because a given input, okay, may be ambiguous. You can have ambiguities in language also. That is, the same word can mean many things, right? Say book can be both a noun and a verb depending on the context. So there can be ambiguities in language. So given an input, it can transition to either recognizing a noun or recognizing a verb. Okay, so this is non-deterministic, and this the sigma part, small sigma, it is the output function which is not present in the finite state automata. So output function gives a set of possible output strings for each state and input. So here for each state and input, you say there are a set of possible output states. So each of these possible output states will have an output string also, right? So that is what is given here. So given a state Q belongs to Q and a string W which belongs to sigma star, the sigma, it gives a set of output strings. Each string belongs to this alphabet. This is the output alphabet, alphabet star. Right. Okay, so this is the formal definition of a finite state transducer. Okay, now, so we said finite state transducers are non-deterministic. Right. Now, to build a you've studied deterministic finite automaton and non-deterministic finite automaton also, right? So, to build or to code a non-deterministic finite automata means for the same input you have multiple transitions. So, it is very difficult to actually implement it. So, what we generally do is there is an algorithm to convert from an NFA to a DFA. And we also know any NFA can be converted to a DFA. Right. But in the case of transducers, every non-deterministic transducer does not have a deterministic transducer. So, if you're working with non-deterministic transducers, it will be computationally very expensive. So, we generally limit ourselves to deterministic versions of transducers, and that is what we are talking about with sequential transducers. Okay, so transducers may be non-deterministic, that is, given an input, it might translate to many outputs or many states. Now, every NFA has a DFA, but not all FSTs have an equivalent deterministic FST. So, if that were possible, then you could convert any FST to a deterministic one. So, what we do is we restrict ourselves to the subtype of transducers that are deterministic on their input, and those are what we talk about sequential transducers. Okay, so in sequential transducers, every input symbol on the alphabet can label at most one transition out of a state. Okay, say here from this state, you have transition on B to Q1. Okay, but output ആയിട്ട് Q0 output ആയിട്ട് B symbol രണ്ട് transitions പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്, which is non-deterministic, and that is not possible in the case of sequential transducers. That is what we are talking about. Okay, and similarly, sequential transducers can have epsilon symbols in the output. You can generate epsilon symbols, but not in the input. Epsilon transition means again you are talking about non-determinism, right? Okay, so modifying the definition of transducers. In the case of sequential transducers, you modify the delta function and the sigma function. Delta function is for transitioning and sigma function is for generating the output. So delta function becomes a function from q cross sigma star to q instead of 2 raised to q in the case of normal transducers. And similarly, here also q cross sigma to delta star, not 2 raised to delta star. Okay, so that is what sequential transducers are. Basically, they are non-deterministic transducers. Okay, for നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ example, we had transitions on B in രണ്ട് transitions ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. Instead of that, here we have from Q naught for a particular symbol, we have only one transition. So that is a sequential finite state transducer. Okay, now we have a newer version of sequential transducer, which is known as a subsequential transducer. Okay, so a subsequential transducer generates an additional output string at the final state. Okay, the final state it generates an additional output string. And sequential and subsequential transducers are efficient in that the processing time is proportional to the input size rather than a function of the number of states. Because it is deterministic, its processing time depends only on the input size. But neither of them can handle ambiguity. Okay, so we said it is deterministic means it is totally unambiguous. But when you talk about natural language, we said there can be natural ambiguity in it. So what we want is we want some system which can handle some level of ambiguity at the same time being efficient. Okay. So since ambiguity is an essential property of natural language, we use a generalized form of subsequential transducers called p-sequential transducers, which is what we are going to work with. Okay, so what is a p-sequential transducer? It allows for p, a value greater than or equal to 1, final output strings to be associated with each final state, thus allowing it to handle a limited amount of ambiguity needed for NLP tasks. So we said subsequential transducer means it generates an additional output string, and a p-sequential transducer is capable of generating p number of final output strings. Okay, so there is a certain amount of non-determinism there, and that can be used for handling ambiguity. Okay, so this is an example of a two subsequential finite state transducer. So for each of these transitions, we can see there is it is deterministic, right? But in the final state, you can have two extra. That is, instead of one output, you can have any number of outputs, or p number of outputs, and that is what we call p sequence, p subsequence. Okay. Okay, so we get an idea of what sort of machine we are going to use for morphological parts. Okay, so we said a finite state automata is not possible because it is simply a recognizer. We want something which reads an input and generates an output. So that is how we came to a transducer. Now, transducer itself, we don't want a lot of non-determinism because it is very computationally expensive to implement. But at the same time, we want a certain level of non-determinism to handle ambiguity of natural language. And that is how we came to what is known as a p-subsequential transducer. Now, we will look at actual morphological parsing. Now, what do you mean by morphological parsing? We also said earlier, given an input say cats, we know to map it to cat plus cat is a noun plus it is plural, right? So this is the transformation which we want. And we talked about two-tape machine. Transducer we said is a two-tape machine. So we have got what is known as a surface state or the input state, which contains the actual text and which we map onto the stem part cat and plus noun plus this is noun and plural. Okay, so you can map either from the surface to lexical or lexical to surface also. Either way we can do. That is, when you read cats and we generate this, it is a recognizer. Okay, when in the reverse process, it is a generator. So it is either way, it is possible. Okay, okay, this is in the last class we saw an example of how regular nouns can be recognized, right? So this is an equivalent transducer for it. So regular noun means we said cat, dog, etc. That is, on adding an s, it becomes a plural. Okay, so this is a transducer for English nominal number inflection. Inflection is we add a morpheme to the word to generate something which has similar meaning. That is inflection, right? Okay, so that is what, when you have a regular noun, let us say cat or dog, that part is recognized, and then you generate the noun, right? And there is no input, which is, this is the input part, this is the output part. So no input is being read. Instead, you know it is a noun, so you generate the corresponding morphological property of plus noun. Okay. Now we come to this state, and if you have, okay, if the input which is read is hash means it is the end of the word. Okay, cat followed by end of the word means it is singular. Okay, so plus sg is output. Now instead of that, if you have this cap symbol, stands for end of that morpheme. Okay, now if the cat is followed by, cat is a morpheme, right? So that ends there. If you have a cap symbol and then an s followed by the end of word symbol, it means it is, അപ്പോൾ ഇത് നമ്മൾ റീഡ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, if this input is read, then you output plural. Okay, similarly irregular singular noun is automatically there is, say for example goose. Goose is singular, right? You read it, you generate plus n, and if you encounter the end of the word, then you generate singular. Similarly, irregular plural means again you generate noun, and if you encounter hash symbol, which it is a plural. So this is the finite state transducer, which is it is not a full-blown version. This is the actual expanded or fleshed out version, right? Say for example, here you're reading C and outputting C. A is read, output A. T is output. Okay, now you come to the end of that, right? So no more input is read. You generate plus n to denote it as a noun, and then when you, if you read a hash, then you output singular. Now instead of that, you come across the end of morpheme s and the end of word symbol, then you output plural and so on. Okay. And here fox is, we are assuming a fox plural is also foxs, not foxes. We'll come to that later. Foxes part we are coming to next. Okay. Similarly, goose and geese can also be written like this. Okay. Okay. So this is the finite state transducer for what English language nominal inflection. Okay. എല്ലാത്തിനും അല്ല, ചില വേർഡ്സിന് മാത്രം നമ്മളത് ഇട്ടേക്കാണ്. Okay, if you want all the words in the English language have to be generated here. Okay, okay. So here what we saw is, say we are reading input like this. Okay, we are reading an input like this and outputting this lexical form. That is what we saw in this finite state transducer. We read fox, okay, followed by say this end of morpheme and s and hash. Okay, when you read that, you can generate fox followed by plus n or plus n, or similar in the reverse direction also you can read this and you can generate this also. But actual input is foxes, right? So this, whatever is on this tape is some intermediate form only. So you need actual transition from actual input is foxes, which has to be read by again another transducer, and you have to generate this intermediate version, and this intermediate version will be again read by another transducer, and this lexical version can be generated. അപ്പോൾ ഒരൊറ്റ ട്രാൻസിഷൻ മാത്രം പോരാ, യു നീഡ് വൺ മോർ ലെവൽ. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ഇൻ ആക്ച്വൽ പ്രാക്ടീസ് ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ഹൗ ഇറ്റ് വർക്ക്സ്. ഓക്കെ, സോ you need two transducers, one to read from the surface level and convert to this intermediate form, and then read intermediate form and convert to lexical form, or in the reverse direction also. That is, you read the lexical form, you generate an intermediate form, and from this you can actually come to generate the actual English language text. So either way it works. Okay, above two tape pora, you actually need three tapes and two transducers. Okay, now as of now, what we said is we can have transducers like this, and in this we are storing information, whatever is there in the lexicon. All the words can be stored like this, right? And also morphotactic information, that is what morpheme follows a noun. Can S follow a noun or can it be before? That information is also encoded in this transducer. Now what is left to encode is the orthographic rules. Right. Now, how can that be encoded in a transducer? That is what we are coming to next. Okay, orthographic rules in the examples are, say for example, when you have a word like beg. Okay, beg, you have a consonant doubling before an ing or before an ed also. Okay, that is an orthographic. When beg becomes begged, begged, or begging, there is a consonant doubling. That is an orthographic rule. Similarly, e deletion can happen. Say for example, make, when it becomes making, e is deleted. Or e insertion can happen. Say for example, fox becomes foxes. You need e insertion, right? That is, e is added after ns, z, x, ch, sh, before an s. Watch, watches, or fox, foxes. So these are examples of orthographic rules. Okay, so how can that be incorporated in a transducer? That is what comes next. So here we have an example of E insertion. Okay, E insertion. That is, E is inserted whenever you have an X, S, or Z, uh, after which you have the end of morpheme. Okay, and then the E has to be inserted here. Okay, and then you have an S and a hash. Say, if you take the example of foxes, FOX, it ends in an X, which means after that you have the morpheme end, right? And then you should have the E. The E rule adana parayana. This, it is actually this rule, E insertion rule. How can that E insertion rule be represented? But any sort of orthographic rule, if you want to design a transducer for that, this general idea is to ignore all of the characters. Ignore all of the characters except for whatever is required in that orthographic rule. Say for example, here we are talking only about X, S and Z. So if X, S and Z are encountered, you know, after that if you have an end of a morpheme, and then after that if you have an S and a hash, then in between you have to insert an E. That is the rule, right? So here if you look at this, this is the corresponding transducer for that. So you start with Q naught, the start state, and if you encounter any other symbol, okay, any other symbol, you just generate the symbol. You don't have to do anything. You come across A, B, C, D and so on. You just generate the symbol. ഇപ്പോൾ ഇതിനകത്ത് നമ്മൾ ഒരു ഒറ്റ ഇങ്ങനെ കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്, generally transducers means you read an input and generate an output. And sometimes if you read Z itself, if you are outputting Z itself, okay, here you are reading Z and outputting Z, or reading any other character and outputting it. About the convention is you can do this way also. This means you are reading the any other symbol and outputting it also. Such sort of pairs on the transition are called default pairs. Okay, default. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ഒരു default pair ആയതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഇവിടെ ഒരു symbol വെച്ച് മാത്രം represent ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. So anything you can come across other than Z, S and X, you just output it. Okay, it will be generated to the output tape. Now, if you come across any of these, say we come across FOX, right? FOX. So F and O are simply output. When you come across X, you transition to this state. Okay, Fox. Now we know after Fox we have got, what do we have got? After it is the end of a morpheme, right? So you have a morpheme end there. So you transition to Q. Okay, now what do we say? According to the rule, after the morpheme, you are supposed to generate, okay, you're supposed to generate an E without reading any input. So on epsilon input, you are generating an E. So FOXE. And finally, after that, you have to generate an S. Look, ഇതൊന്നും നമ്മൾ final states അല്ല, because FOX is actually accepted here, and at this state also you can accept it because it is FOX and end of morpheme. Now, once you generate an E, it cannot be accepted because FOXE is not a valid string. Right. Now you come across an S. Right. Okay, FOXES. Still it cannot be accepted because unless it is followed by what? End of word. This. This symbol. Or when this symbol is encountered, you go back to Q naught and then it is accepted. Okay. For any other value, you just generate, you just output it. Now in this state also, you come across, say, we have to look at different examples. Let us say pass, PASS. So PASS, PA encounter ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ that is being output. When S is encountered, it comes here. Then another S is encountered, it still stays here. Okay. After that, it can go through this path. Okay. So similarly, we have to look at other sort of examples to actually find out what happens here. So the idea for generating orthographic rules is for any other input other than what we are working with. Let us say X, S, and Z. For other characters, you just output it. Okay. For these characters, you have to write what is the rule. So that is a general idea. Okay. Maybe you can look at other different words in order to find out how the transition to these happens, because we have to try out various examples. Okay, the general idea is this. When you want to generate a transducer for an orthographic rule, you just look only at those symbols which are required for us. The remaining inputs, you just output it. Okay. Okay, so that's all for today.